Hello.
Hi, Nils.
And yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Don't see Amar on the call, so we'll skip the PTL updates and go back to him if he joins. So the next, the university updates from Vipin.
Yeah, hi, listen. I can. Yeah, so currently we are working on detailed call flows for 5G SA, especially in version 1.8. So we are working on detailed call flows and where you can find actual codes as well as some DFDs as well. So that's easy for the new developers to start with. And we already finished with the XSD and session D call flows. Currently working on pipeline D. So in that way, we finish in 3 functions. And the second update is we are working on technical specification and comparison of different 5G cores, open source 5G cores. We saw this requirement in many other open source communities. For example, NIFIO is looking at how we can compare these 3 or 4 available 5G cores and which one to choose. So this kind of technical specification will help us in Magma, as well as in other open source communities to understand what versions we are in and where we can upgrade. And so this is for the XSD, and this is same way for the session D as well. And these technical specifications again are left for the UPF as well. So we will update that as well. Some community update is we are working with the Open Infra Foundation. So with Alison, we are I was talking to Alison regarding this, that this is Open Infrastructure Days. And we included Magma as well, so that it helped us to grow in India as well. So means Open Infra, we already discussed this with Open Infra, Cloud Native, and Hyperledger. So I think with Magma, if you guys can also help us in more outreach, something like this, that will be really helpful. And if we want, like, we can have a booth as well. So it's up to us how we can. So for example, we can have some booths or something like this with Magma. So that's what we can. That's all we have from our side.
Vipin, do you have links to the Access D and Session D and other documentation?
Yeah, so let me share the links on the chat.
Thank you.
Any more questions or suggestions?
Yeah, I was generally wondering how we can make this Magma India space that you showed more accessible and more discoverable from the Magma wiki. Maybe we can link back and forth and have some integrations or some, I don't know, it's it might be good to have some back and forth connections there.
Yeah, means let us know where you want us to, means we can contribute there. So sure. So you want it on wiki?
I'm not sure that is one. I don't know if you would be willing to join wikis or but I think it's documentation that benefits all of us, so it should be discoverable and visible to all of us. And I don't know how this back and forth linking can be done best if it's in 2 different systems, but I would like to have it better integrated and better visible.
Sure.
So let's see. It would fit in the contributor experience working group?
A link for sure. I don't know if it's for later consumption the right place.
Sounds good. Maybe let's keep, I don't know, working on that. So what's the natural place for follow-up work to integrate these, and not only by Vipin, but by other community members?
Yeah, that will be
So-
helpful for other communities as well. Like, means if someone wants to contribute.
Yeah, I think keeping things in the wiki is the best place, since that is where most of the community members will go to gather meeting notes, meeting recordings, or just any other general information. So I think we could create a page on the wiki where this information lives, and we can cross-link, and then that way I can also pass this on to the marketing team, who can post on the Magma Twitter and LinkedIn pages.
Yeah, let's just start with Wiki and let's see.
Great.
Mhm.
Right. Next
Into
we'll
the
go
wiki,
to,
You mean the Confluence wiki, right? Not the GitHub wiki.
correct. Yes, the Confluence wiki.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, next we'll go to release updates. Govind, Daljit. Oh, yeah, that's right. Govind is not able to join today. Sorry about that.
Yeah, nothing else from our side, Kendall. I think there was the release was done, and whatever queries are coming, we are answering. And we are raising the issue, but no specific update, Kendall.
Okay.
Max, you have anything to add? Like,
Mm.
don't
I think
we have anything.
last meeting I asked for a ticket or some way of tracking the issues that come up after the release related to the release. I'm not sure if we have that overview already, or if we track deployment issues after release. I think there are still some questions coming up in Slack that might or might not be issues with the release. Do we have this update, this overview? Do we know which issues are out there or were reported?
Yes, from 5G SA perspective, I have the list. Not from the overall perspective, but 5G SA, I can start collecting it. Is there any tag or something we can add?
Maybe that tag does not yet exist. I need to check. It was an idea last week
Okay.
to create that. Maybe that did not yet happen.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll create it. Yeah. And
Okay.
at least whatever I know, I'll start putting it. Yeah.
Good. Then you create it. Perfect. Next would be DevOps.
Yeah, so in DevOps, actually, the access gateway upgrade I was testing, and I found out, okay, there is one thing we missed, is the version number for that. It's still 1.7, so there is a PR for upgrading it to 1.8. That is one. And right now, me and team are working on the migration of the repositories. So we are working with the LF DevOps team and setting up new things, and also the looking into the new CI pipeline that will automatically push the images, so we don't have to do this manually. So there might be few changes in our current pipelines. I think domain name will also change. So yeah, more clarity will have in coming days. That's it. Any questions?
No, but
Thank
can
you.
you send me the link? I think you asked last week for me to check out this PR with the, but I didn't find it.
That was a different PR. It was merged already. This is a new PR. That was for installing the access gateway. This is for upgrading the access gateway.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll share the link with you.
I found it already.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next we have testing updates. Tian, is he on the call? Does not look like it. We can skip that unless there's anyone else who would like to give the testing update.
No, he was not able to join today.
Okay. We can go to Lucas for security updates.
Hello. Last week, I worked on documenting secure deployment. I investigated attacks using APN overrides and related guidance we might give to deployers. I looked at two facets in particular, systemic weaknesses. Sorry, I'll come back to that. The risk that a deployer might put a dev package into the access gateway instead of the production build. And we discussed that a little bit in Magma, and in Slack, and I wanted to seek consensus here on what to do next with that. So let me fill people in on the context before we go deeper. So the instructions for installing Magma into the access gateway are here. They include instructions for how to do a production build and how to do a dev build. And there is a risk that a deployer will install a dev build into production. And I think we should advise deployers to check that they haven't installed the debug version. And so there's a question of how they would do that. We discussed a method to do that in Slack, and Shalom came up with this method, and Nils suggested another approach that involves actually tagging the description with the dev build flag. And I wonder about community feelings on that. Let me add that doing that would not be backwards compatible with what we're already doing, right? People would have to be using new code and not 1.8. But I think it would be effective and simple.
Just a quick addition. I think the documentation you found there is, let's say, for advanced users who want to build Magma themselves and install it. Most user would install it by using the build on the Artifactory.
That is a good point, although it's one that's not addressed in the deployment instructions, at least not at this stage as far as my reading goes. And maybe we should talk about documenting that more. In fact, I'll make a note to follow up on that exact point. But moving beyond that, for these advanced users, what can they do to be confident that they're not deploying a debug build? And does this alternate method work?
For me, that feels very low-level technical, and I'm at least not able to wrap my head around that right now.
If there is generally consensus about that, what I'll do is write up some documentation and maybe bring it up in the engineering meeting.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Lucas, if you want, feel free to create an issue for this description change. This PR would take me 5 minutes, so it might be an idea to just create this PR and take it for see if we get review comments for that one.
I agree. That's a nice, simple way to do it. I'm sorry, was that Nils speaking?
Yes.
Okay. That is what I'll do. So we'll follow up in discussion on the PR.
Great.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. Sounds good.
Okay. Next, I looked at documentation on MC prefixes used in an APN override. This again is pretty fine-grained. What I noticed is the possibility of conflict with the canonical structure of an MC and a need to document that. So I will follow up on that more elsewhere and maybe in the engineering meeting as well. That is it for me. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Lucas. Okay, is there any feature development work that people are working on that they would like to touch on during this meeting? Take the silence as a no. Okay, we can move on to C++ migration. Rashmi?
Sure thing. Is my screen visible?
No. Now it is.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Ankit has started working on converting the C files to CPP for other tasks. So now he has completed for the 6A task. So it's almost done. It is under review process. So next he would be starting for the HJ task and other service 303 tasks. So, and as part of issue 11192, there is a dependency between the common state manager and the individual task state manager. I started working on removing the dependency. We had few queries on that when me, Shruti and Alex had a discussion on that one, and accordingly I have revisited this task, and the changes are available in the PR 14116. Next thing would be the same thing would be carried for the other tasks. Yeah, that's all from us.
Thanks, Rashmi.
Thank you.
Great. Basil effort, Nils?
Yeah, hello everybody. Let me share my screen. So the first thing, maybe you remember some time ago, we took a look at how, if it's efficiently possible to create our Docker images on our containers with Bazel, but it was possible, but for now we said we don't want to build them with Bazel because we have the Docker files and we don't see a good reason to do it. From another direction, and not from the Bazel side, people are currently looking in improving the Docker build, and they had one big problem. The issue was when they did small changes, it took a very long time to rebuild the Docker images and see and actually test the changes. So they asked us to collaborate and create proof of concept where the images are built with Bazel, and the first results are very promising. So Sebastian created a small benchmark table here, and what we see here, if we have a small change in this Python code and need to rebuild the current Docker setup, takes like a minute. With Bazel, it boils down to 4 seconds. And for C containers, it's even a bit more. If we have a change in the C code and need to rebuild the Docker setup, it takes like 320 seconds. And with Bazel, again, with the massive caching, it's about 4 seconds. And we have similar results if we look at the size of the images with the current Docker setup. They are rather large. With Bazel, it boils down to a couple hundred of megabytes. The main reason here is that the initial idea is a little bit different. Here in these Docker containers, we have all the services and run only one. With Bazel, we only have in the container what we actually needed. It has up and downsides, so it's a trade-off, but this is the current situation here. Other topics we are currently working on executing the test with Bazel in CI. We are now currently stopped looking into the stabilization effort because now we get a couple of results and can see how we can improve the testing with Bazel. Running the integration test versus an environment where with Bazel created Debian file is installed. This is currently in review. So the workflow is created, but it's not yet merged to master. We're also looking at coverage generation in CI with Bazel. There's already a lot, but not everything yet. And for the developer experience, we have passed the documentation, found a couple of missing points that need to be solved. For example, improve the local integration test setup. For now with Bazel, it's a very long list and it needs to be short and efficient in order to provide a good developer experience. And the last thing we took a look at is if we can use a linter and formatter with Bazel as well. The current analysis shows that this is not really feasible. We use external tools for these tasks to lint and format our different code bases. And we suggest to stay with these tools, don't use special Bazel tools to achieve the same. They are currently called by makefiles, but there's not really a reason to call them as makefiles. So a shell script would be sufficient to do this in our current state as well. That's it for the Bazel update. Are there any questions or comments?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Have you tested the same concept on ARM or it was tested only on x86?
You mean for the Docker images?
Yeah, correct, for the Bazel build.
So the Bazel build itself was tested on ARM as well. Yes, creating these Docker images, this was for now, it's a proof of concept, and it was only checked on AMD 64. But actually, I don't see a hard reason why it wouldn't work on ARM architecture. But of course, should be tested first.
No, I agree with you. I also don't see a real reason why it should not work, but we need to test. Because sometimes there is a difference between libraries and sometimes certain versions are not available in one or the other architecture.
Of course,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
More questions? Then I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Nils. Okay, data path, any updates there?
None from my end.
Okay. And there's no roadmap updates. So now we'll go over to the open info PTG, Max Ildiko.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to give a quick update. I've been chatting with Max and we identified a few topics that would be great to discuss over the event or have a workshop about. All the topics are added to our planning Etherpad that got created recently. Just dropped the link into the chat as well. One thing that we would need to decide on sort of immediately is time slots that the community would prefer to use to discuss the topics that we have on the Etherpad or the workshops that people would be interested in holding. The event is fully online, so it will happen on Zoom. And the way how people and the attendees and the session leaders are using the time slots is very flexible at the event, but we do need to book Zoom rooms for discussions and workshops if people know and have a preference already when they would like to have them. That one is kind of urgent. I'm happy to do the booking and help out with that, but I need people to let me know their preference. These are the latest updates that I have in terms of organizing. I don't know, Max, if you would like to add anything.
Yeah, I think there are some of these topics are organized by some specific people. So I don't know if they need to align with the whole community regarding time slots. I think they should choose time slots that fit best for them and might work for others. So that's potentially helping the choice of slots or making it faster. And we are still looking for topics. So if you have an idea of what would benefit from a longer discussion, it's still by far not a complete list. And we would be happy to, if someone has a topic, if someone wants to shepherd a topic, we are happy to add it.
Yeah, that sounds great. I will try to also sync up with people separately as well. One thing that also kind of just adds to our urgency of locking down some time slots is that I can then send out a few emails and reminders to people to also remind the community to join those discussions and utilize the event. And since the event itself is next week, it would be great to have the time slots locked down rather sooner than later. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Would like to learn more about the event or?
I think it's very good. If it is, we'll reach out. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ildiko and Max. So that brings us to the end of our agenda. Are there any other topics that people would like to bring up? All right, I'll take the silence as a no, so we can go ahead and end early today. Everyone, have a great week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.